She had already seduced one of the most powerful men in history. Now, with the Roman Republic teetering on the edge of chaos, Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, was about to stake everything on a new alliance, one born not just of strategy but of passion. Mark Antony, Caesar's closest friend and fiercest general, will become her lover and ultimately her downfall. Their relationship was forged during a tumultuous time in ancient Rome, with power struggles and battles raging on all fronts. Cleopatra was a clever and beautiful queen who knew how to use her charm to get what she wanted, while Mark Antony was a battle-hardened soldier with a reputation for being fierce and loyal. Together, they formed a powerful alliance that would change the course of history. Their love affair was not just a romantic indulgence, but a strategic move to secure their positions and protect their empires. Cleopatra needed Mark Antony's military might to defend Egypt against its enemies, while Mark Antony needed Cleopatra's wealth and influence to fund his campaigns and solidify his power in Rome. As their relationship deepened, they found themselves facing numerous challenges, from political pressures to external enemies, all of whom were eager to see them fail. The Romans were wary of Cleopatra's influence over Mark Antony, and the Egyptians were concerned about the impact of their alliance on their country's independence. This is not just the story of two lovers. This is the story of how love and politics collided to reshape the ancient world and doom the last great queen of Egypt. The year is 44 BC. Julius Caesar lies dead on the Senate floor, stabbed 23 times by his own peers, men who feared he had grown too powerful, too king-like. Thousands of miles away, in the golden palace of Alexandria, Cleopatra receives the news. Caesar is gone. The man she once captivated, the father of her young son Caesarion, has been assassinated. But Cleopatra doesn't mourn for long. She is a queen, and queens don't have the luxury of grief. She understands what's at stake. Without Caesar, her place in Roman politics and Egypt's future hangs by a thread. Back in Rome, a brutal power vacuum emerges. The Republic is collapsing into faction chaos. Caesar's loyal general Mark Antony positions himself as his political heir, but he is challenged by Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, young, cunning, and hungry for power. To survive, Cleopatra must choose her next move carefully. Rome is the storm. She needs an anchor, and Antony, he might just be it. In 41 BCE, Mark Antony summons Cleopatra to meet him in the city of Tarsus in Asia Minor. He wants answers. He suspects she may have supported his enemies during the Roman Civil War. But Cleopatra doesn't come to Tarsus in chains. She comes in glory, on a golden barge adorned with purple sails and silver oars. Cleopatra sails up the Cydnus River. She's dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, reclining beneath a canopy of gold, surrounded by incensed musicians and attendants dressed as cupids. It's not diplomacy, it's theater, and Antony is enthralled. This isn't the meek Egyptian Queen Rome whispers about. This is a ruler, a spectacle, a goddess. The meeting becomes a feast, then a celebration, then something far more personal. Antony is known for indulgence and charisma, but Cleopatra matches him in wit, intellect, and charm. In the days that follow, they drink together, hunt together, strategize, and laugh. Cleopatra shows Antony not just the wealth of Egypt, but the strength of her mind and the depth of her ambition. Antony, always a man of appetite, finds himself drawn into her world. And perhaps Cleopatra sees in him more than a tool. Perhaps she sees a partner. Was it love, lust, politics? The truth may be all three. Antony follows Cleopatra back to Alexandria. For the next several years, he lives between two worlds, Rome and Egypt, politics and passion. They become inseparable. Cleopatra gives birth to twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, and later a third child, Ptolemy Philadelphus. In public and in private, they rule as equals. Cleopatra presents herself as Isis reborn, and Antony embraces his role as Dionysus, god of wine and power. But Rome is watching, and Octavian, now Caesar's rising heir, is carefully constructing a narrative to the Roman public. Antony has become a traitor, a man bewitched by a foreign queen, a Roman noble turned Eastern despot. and Octavian feeds these fears like fuel to fire. Then, in 34 BCE, Antony makes a fateful mistake: the donations of Alexandria. In a grand ceremony, Antony divides eastern territories between Cleopatra and their children. To Rome, this is treason. Roman land, given away to a queen and her illegitimate heirs. Worse still, Antony publicly declares Caesar Ion, not Octavian, as Caesar's rightful son and heir. Octavian seizes the moment. He obtains Antony's will, real or forged, and reads it aloud to the Senate. It says Antony wishes to be buried in Alexandria, that he plans to crown Caesar Ion King of Kings. It's all Octavian needs. The Roman Senate strips Antony of his titles. War is declared not against Antony, but against Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. The stage is set for the final act. In 31 BCE, Octavian's forces face off against Antony and Cleopatra's combined armies at the Battle of Actium off the coast of western Greece. It's more than a naval battle. It's a war of words. The disciplined might of Rome against the golden glamour of the East. Antony's fleet, although massive, is poorly coordinated. And when Cleopatra, fearing capture, retreats with her ships mid-battle, Antony abandons the fight to follow her. It's a devastating blow. The battle is lost. Rome triumphs. Antony and Cleopatra retreat to Egypt, their forces scattered, their reputation in ruins. Alexandria becomes their final sanctuary and their tomb. As Octavian marches toward Egypt, Antony receives news, false, as it turns out, that Cleopatra is dead. Overcome with grief, he falls on his own sword. Bleeding, mortally wounded, he is brought to Cleopatra's mausoleum, where he dies in her arms. Cleopatra, left alone, prepares for the inevitable. She meets with Octavian, but refuses to be paraded through Rome as a trophy. Shortly after, she takes her own life. Legends say she died by the bite of an asp. Others believe she drank a potent cocktail of poison. The exact cause remains a mystery, but her death is as enigmatic as her life. Her loyal handmaidens die beside her. The Queen of Egypt is no more. With Cleopatra's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty ends. Egypt is absorbed into the Roman Empire. Caesar Ion is captured and executed on Octavian's orders, eliminating any threat to his claim as Caesar's successor. Octavian returns to Rome in triumph and is crowned Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. The Republic is dead. The Empire is born, and the love that once challenged the world has been extinguished. But their story lived on, told and retold for centuries, in plays, poems, paintings, and now in history. Cleopatra and Mark Antony weren't just lovers. They were revolutionaries, dreamers, rulers who defied convention. And in doing so, they became immortal. Some say they were foolish, reckless, blinded by desire. Others see in them a tragic beauty, the last gasp of a world slipping into darkness. But whatever you believe, one thing is clear. Their love didn't just change lives, it changed history.